we are going to be speaking about the deployment of CSP plants worldwide. And I just want to remind you that for any questions, both Rafael Guedet and me, we are available to be contacted by email by using the email which is shown on the screen. About half of the plants, CSP plants located or already implemented and in operation in the world are located in Spain. And this is not due to technical reasons. It's due to the fact that the Spanish government was fostering renewable energies. And they create legislation fostering the renewable energies, which has as a result that there were more than 50 CSP plants located in Spain, installed in Spain, and in particular, obviously, in the south of Spain, where the irradiation values are higher. There is an exception, which is a small plant here in Lerida. This is the north of Spain, but this is not purely a CSP plant. It's rather a combined CSP and biomass plant covered by the same legislation. But the good thing is that in only 3 or 4 years' time, Spain was creating 50 plants that today are in operation with a total power of 2,300 megawatts of electricity, net electricity. There are some good news about the situation in Spain. The first one is that obviously the plants were constructed, so nothing new in 2015, but the maximum contribution was achieved last year in August, producing something like 8.5% of the Spanish demand. So I want to emphasize that CSP is not just a group of crazy people making pilot plants for universities and things like that. In the case of Spain, the weight of or the contribution of CSP is already relevant in terms of being able to produce electricity for the customers. In fact, in all the months in between July, August, the production, the daily production of CSP is close to 4 or 5% in summertime. The peak was achieved this year. This year in July, we produced all the CSP plants altogether. We produced a total of close to 900 gigawatts hour in 1 month. So again, we're speaking about big figures. And something else that I want to emphasize is that the CSP is very well coping the demand of electricity in Spain. This is the demand in summertime. Summertime is a bit special in Spain because in July at midday we have a tremendous demand for the air conditioning, which is not existing the rest of the months. But which is very consistent is that just after the sunset, we are having another peak of demand here at about, well, in that case is 9 to 10 in the night, because in July in Spain, night is produced very late. But you can see those two graphs represent the Spanish demand and then the contribution of CSP. And even when only half of the plants in Spain have storage capacity, you can see that we are able to copy very well the demand. And this is not happening a single day, it is happening in a week or in the whole month of July. Those are 2 bad days, as you can see in July. But the rest of the days, we are copying very well that shape of the demand. I'm going to be presenting the variety of plants that are available in Spain, and I will start by Valle 1 and Valle 2, not because they were the first, but because those are a typical Spanish plant. There are more than 20 plants similar to that complex. The Spanish government was putting a limit on 50 megawatt for the plants. So this is a typical configuration. What we have here, this is called Valle 1. This is called Valle 2. And the two plants are in the same complex, and really we are operating the two plants as a single 100 megawatt plant. I want to emphasize on the size of the plant. This is close to 350 hectares of land to produce 100 megawatts. Well, maybe 350 megawatts of land could be excessive to you, but just consider that in the south of Spain, to find a parcel of 300, 400 hectares is not a big deal, and having to deal maybe with one or two people. So those are very desertic areas compared to the south compared to other areas in Europe, and really very suitable for CSP. In the case of the Spanish plants, the oil which is passing through the solar field, this is the solar field, those are the mirrors concentrating the light to the tubes in which the oil is passing through. In the case of the most of the Spanish CSP plants, what we have is that the oil is not just delivered to the steam generation system to produce steam to propel the turbine, but part of the oil during the day is delivered to this area where is exchanging the heat with molten salts to store thermal energy to continue producing during the night. This is another example. This is Gema Solar. Again, is one of the plants I was operating. It's a fantastic plant. It's a very small one, but we produce more megawatts at the end of the year in this plant as a 50 megawatt plant without the storage. And the reason is because this plant has a storage system able to produce flat day and night at maximum power in summertime. The plant is not formed by tubes. Those are just heliostats, meaning those are structures holding mirrors, and the mirrors are used to reflect the light of the sun and concentrate the light of the sun in this small spot on top of the tower. So when in operation, the tower looks like that. And here we have a huge concentration of energy, close to 140 megawatts of thermal energy, and that we use to heat up molten salts, salts that are stored to be used to produce steam when we want. And in fact, again, in summertime, we operate this plant like a nuclear plant. We operate flat 20 megawatts day and night. This is another complex. In that case, this is made by Abengoa. Here you have 3 parabolic trough plants without the storage, and then 2 tower plants, plus this one. This is a very, very small experimental tower plant, having the capacity to produce superheated steam to maximize the efficiency of the plant. And also in the same complex, you can see this this part that holds a PV photovoltaic plant in the same complex. So you can see that the plants are grouped to be, let's say, easier to operate. Another different plant, this is Puerto Rado in Murcia. This is a Fresnel plant. I will be explaining later on what's the difference in between parabolic trough and Fresnel technology. But that is a very interesting plant. Puerto Rado 1 has 1.4 megawatts and Puerto Rado 2 has 30 megawatts. In both cases, they are using Fresnel technology, but this is operated with water, meaning there is no oil passing through the tubes. In that case, the water is passing through the tube and is directly converted into a steam. And the steam is delivered to the turbine, which is located here, to produce electricity. Borges Blanques in Lerida, that's the plant I was mentioning before. You can see that it's composed of a solar field, a parabolic trough solar field, but also there is a biomass plant in that part of the installation, and the energy produced in the solar field is combined with the energy produced by the biomass to operate a turbine, again practically flat in summertime. So this is again on a small plant, 22 megawatts, but maybe it's going to be producing more than a 50 megawatt plant operating without the storage. In this map, you might see that Spain obviously is a sunny country, and this is very well known by the 4 million tourists that are visiting, 40 million tourists that are visiting us every year. But it's not the best location to install CSP plants. You can see that here in the Mojave Desert, for instance, there are irradiations that maybe they are 50% or 60% higher as compared to the south of Spain. Not to mention the Acatama Desert. Here the irradiation is close to be double the annual irradiation in Spain. Some areas in Australia, they have enormous potential, and also obviously the Sahara Desert. All this area has enormous potential for solar energy in general. So outside Spain, the highest development of CSP is located in the United States. And it is very interesting that the United States started CSP in the late 70s, started by the SECs. Those are 7 plants, parabolic trough plants, located in the Mojave Desert. And it's interesting because those plants have been in operation already for 35, 40 years. And you will see later on some pictures, but they are already, they continue producing electricity after 35 years of operation. Then there are new plants made in the United States, most of them located very near to the SECs in the desertic area between Arizona and Las Vegas, near Las Vegas. And those are the Solana plant, which is a 280 megawatts parabolic trough, Ivampa, which is a tower, having 390 megawatts, Genesis, which is another parabolic trough made for solid power and light, Mojave is again a parabolic trough having 280 megawatts, and Crescent Dunes, which is a tower of 110 megawatts recently commissioned. You will realize that there is a huge difference in between the American plants and the Spanish plants. The American ones are bigger, and again the reason is because technically a parabolic trough plant should be in the range of 250, 350 megawatts to maximize the profitability. In Spain there was a limitation on the power, so practically most of the plants in Spain are 49.9 megawatts power. Another country in which the development is very intense is in South Africa. My view is that South Africa has perfectly understood what I was saying about local content. And they want to promote the local economy. They want to promote the positions, the high-tech positions in the country by promoting the establishment of CSP plants in South Africa to deliver electricity not only for South Africa, but even exporting to the surrounding countries. And they have been on rounds producing plants, both parabolic trough and tower, and you can see the trend. I mean, every round is bigger than the previous one, and in every round they are using parabolic trough technology, mostly with storage and also tower configurations. Recently, Eskom, which is like the electrical company in South Africa, or the bigger electrical company in South Africa, has announced the opening of a tender for a 100 megawatt plant. This is an old project. I mean, it has been discussed for many, many years, and apparently right now is going to be reality. Another country which is very interested in CSP is Morocco. And again, they started by using parabolic trough technology, huge plants, I mean 160 megawatts with storage. That's not one. This is already being completed, and we are just starting to commission the plant and to train the operators. Nord 2 is also located in Ouarzazate, is in the Sahara part of the Moroccan nation, and Nord 3, which is a 150 megawatt tower, is like Gema Solar, but let's say 7 times bigger than Gema Solar. In the rest of the world, there are plants everywhere. In Abu Dhabi, Masdar has constructed SAMS 1, which is a 100 megawatt parabolic trough plant. In Kuwait, they have decided a very interesting plant, which is a 50 megawatt parabolic trough with a large storage, to be very, let's say, a very conservative approach, having a very large storage to be sure that they are able to produce the demand when needed. And also in that plant they use dry cooling. So they are using the highest and the newest technologies to produce the plants. In India, there are parabolic trough plants. There are a Fresnel plant. 3 of them, I think they are already in operation. In Chile, a big tower is being constructed. Israel has 2 110 megawatt plant parabolic trough and a tower, and those are in the early construction phases, but the project has already been approved and is going to happen, let's say. Then in Australia, there is a small plant. It's a 44 megawatt Fresnel plant, and is located just to feed steam to a traditional coal plant, and is near to be completed. In Chile, the first tower has started the construction. In Mexico, again, a project in which traditional plant, a combined cycle, is combined with solar 14 megawatt electrical solar field with an equivalent power of 14 megawatts to produce steam to be used in the same turbine as the combined cycle. The plant has been designed for that. And then there is PRC. My impression is that China is going to be the country of CSP in the future. And I say so not only because there are already some prototypes and some 50 megawatt plants that are under construction in several places in China, and a lot of interest, but mainly because the Chinese government has announced a plan to enlarge and to use the potential of CSP in China in the future. And I know that when the Chinese people is aiming to a target, they comply with the target. This is the Stella forecast for the year 2020. They are considering that the United States will be leading the sector in the future, in the near future. My impression is that China will be close to that or even exceeding that in very short period of time. And that's all. If you have some questions, I want to remind you to use the emails that I was producing at the beginning of of the movie, because both Rafael and me will be more than willing to answer your questions.